Welcome to Fireteam Chat, IGN's Destiny show. Thank you so much for joining us. Joining me in the studio today is CJ Gibson.
What's up?
And the Crimson Doubles, Fran Mirabella, and Datto from Datto Does Destiny.
Hey.
Datto,
nice.
thank you so much for joining us
Hey,
today.
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you were in the San Francisco area, and you're like open
Yeah.
to being a guest.
Yeah, well, I was here a little while ago, too, and you're like, hey, you didn't say that you were coming here. And I was like, whoops. And then I was coming here again. I was like, where's Destin?
There it is.
Be here this time, so.
Awesome. Very happy to have you in the studio today.
Excited.
Yeah.
We coordinate our outfits, two red shirts for Crimson Days.
Crimson Doubles team.
That means you have to play with me later, so.
That's fine.
Okay.
Look out,
later
Datto.
tonight.
Look out.
There it is.
We're going to be talking a little bit about Crimson Days on the show today. We're also going to be talking about the weekly update and all the news out of there, including some exotic buffs that we might be getting. We're going to talk to Datto about what it's been like with the current state of Destiny 2, and we're also going to talk about that US Gamer article and address some fan feedback. All right, so Datto, seeing you're our guest, let's start with you.
All right.
And ask, what did you think about Crimson Doubles?
You know, I thought it was pretty fun. It's always nice when you have a change of pace in gameplay, even if it is 2v2, you know. The new Burning Shrine remake is really fun now that the sun doesn't completely blind you when you're outside. That was really the only complaint I had about the map, so I really enjoyed playing on the map. You know, some pretty cheesy grenade tactics going on.
There it is.
And but I mean, like that,
Yeah.
you just have to live with that because that's just part of the game mode. You can do it too. I know there's a lot of like Night Stalker hunters going invisible permanently on console, and I'm sure that's a nightmare because aiming on console against invisible people is very rough.
Jesters.
So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, you know, I played for about 2-3 hours, and I was having some fun. You know, it's always just nice to have a change of pace from the normal.
Yeah, I like that it like basically says, all right, fight for this amount of time. Whoever has the most points ends up winning. Did you guys get any sudden death moments?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Tons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's fun.
it was. I didn't know what was going to happen, so I just remember someone in my chat being like, "Oh, you're going to like if it ever gets to 2-2," and then it just pops up. It's like sudden death, no reviving. And I was just like,
Pressure's
I wasn't
on.
ready for it. So, but it gets pretty tense. Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
And was one of your first matches actually on Burning Shrine, Burnout now? Or no? Or did you play
No, I think that my first two were just on like
Probably dead.
short
Javelin
short
4.
of time and
Yeah.
and something else.
Yeah.
And then we got it like third try or whatever, and it's it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
I like that part, where you're starting to realize what the mechanics are. Like, oh man, we killed a guy. What? He's got his health back. Oh gosh, what's happening?
Yeah.
Same thing with the icons on the screen. I mean, now that it's been out just even for a couple days, I will say, first impression was amazing. Played it again yesterday. A lot of grenade spam. A lot of grenade spam.
People
Nobu's
figured it out.
vow, skip grenades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's expected, but it is one of those things where I don't even know how. Like, there could be so many other strategies that come into play, so it's only available for the next few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until February 20th.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it's only a week long. Like, it feels like it should
Yes.
just be a 2-week event. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like all events should just be like 2 weeks minimum. Like Overwatch is Year of the Dog thing is almost a month.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point. Why is it a week? I know they have faction rallies planned, which we'll talk about, but yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I'm enjoying it. I understand, limited events, but we talked about this when Mayhem was around. I was like, taking something away right now just doesn't seem like a good idea if we're enjoying it. So that is a problem. Like, we're having fun, we're enjoying it, something to play, and then sorry, it's gone. But you've got faction rallies back.
Yeah.
And I'm not excited about that.
Oh, cool. Faction rallies.
yeah.
Yay.
But yeah,
How do you guys feel about faction
let it
rallies?
sit around for a little while.
Yeah.
But I maybe just to finish on Crimson Days, not doubles anymore, right? That was what it was called last year, I think.
Close enough.
I like it again versus when I was playing Mayhem because there's something about having power, and despite the ability spam that you do get, your nade and ability back when your teammate dies, there's a lot of nades going on.
Yeah.
But it's fun, because you have more power and like the mobility boost as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing these changes that they're bringing. I think March 27th is when those changes are coming. But I enjoy it because of it. I actually like 2v2 as well because
fun.
team shotting is still not great, not fun.
Oh, it's
but
there still.
with two people, it feels a lot more fun, a lot more in control.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really neat to play with a smaller. I feel like they're like one player off though. I think it should be 3v3, and then like I feel like there should be like like a boon system.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't
Then
know.
we
The
should
red
almost
system
almost
classic
is almost there.
trials.
Yeah, and
Man.
then just adjust the whole weapon.
Burnout though.
Anyway,
I was so happy to play him.
and it's Crimson
Yeah.
Days. Like it's been 1,256 days. Since
Yeah,
I fixed the ball.
exactly. What did
Yeah.
you think, Destin?
I actually really enjoyed it. I liked Burnout.
Burning
Shrine
Previously
was one of
Burning
my favorite maps in Destiny
Yes.
1. And it's fun to go back there and just like evoke some of those emotions and memories, like muscle
Yes.
memory of like the sniper lanes. And like,
Yeah.
I'm like calling out, I'm like, wait, that's not where it is anymore.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
call Sun anymore. That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
I got a chance to. There was a couple times we played, and there weren't very many good people the first time I played. So I was like, I'm just going to explore the map for a little while. It's neat to see all the round. It's a lot of rounded edges now. Burning Shrine was a very kind of symmetrically square map. So yeah, it is weird still to walk out and go, oh, there's no glowing sun and the sand. And the sand's not infinite. Now there's a cliff, and I figured it out that if you fall off, you're dead. There's no, hey, I can jump down.
What a shock.
Exactly. That's like, I was waiting for the timer, and then I was like, nope, dead.
Yeah. That's where a lot of fights would end.
Well, I know.
Just
You just
out
like
there.
run out into the sand and like time
Yeah.
it and run
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah,
It's almost like that's a good change.
well, it is. I would say that is a good change. But it is different seeing a new version of the map. But for the most part, yeah, I really actually enjoyed it.
All I know is that reward-wise, I'm always going to cherish my. Oh, never mind. I don't have anything.
That to me is the big discussion here,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. Are we going to get into that, the reward
Yeah.
system first?
So what did you think?
Yeah. Well, let's ask Datto, our guest, first. What did you think of the reward system?
I was very pleasantly surprised when they first came out with their announcements of just like, hey, it's not microtransaction based. We're just, you get an extra Crimson Days engram when you're doing some stuff. Cool.
For all activities, I like that.
Yes, for everything.
I got one for doing the raid.
And you know,
Elaborate.
I was skeptical at first, like, okay, let's see what they're actually gonna do with like some microtransactions. No, you can. I mean, you can buy them with Bright Dust, which is like sort of an indirect thing, but no, I don't. Whatever. You earn them all through gameplay. They have a smart loot system where you can. You're only gonna
knockout.
get stuff that you don't have. The ornaments look. Sorry, the Graviton Lance ornament looks really cool. The Prometheus lens one, I was like,
yeah, it's okay.
what's
Sweet business, I like.
Sweet
it's
business is
subtle,
good.
but it's
Yeah.
nice. It's
Yeah.
clean.
So otherwise, you know, it was along the lines of what I was kind of hoping the Dawning would have been like in terms of rewards. They weren't trying to shove microtransactions in our face, which is good.
They do.
That's
They do
all I
send,
can really ask for a small event like this.
They do send you the Eververse to entice that, but it's been neutered to the point like you get so much Bright Dust from just deleting stuff. Like I have Bright Dust that would allow me to buy any of the emotes or whatever.
really?
So
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about it, and it doesn't really force you into buying stuff the way that it felt the Dawning nudged you a little harder.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a great observation that I wasn't thinking about. They definitely got Eververse feeling better, which was a big question. But I'm actually kind of not enjoying the reward system because I was less focused on that. And basically, there's just nothing I'm chasing. Like I did want those two ornaments, Sweet Business and Graviton Lance.
You wanted armor.
But I want an armor set to take with me out of it. And it's
That would've
like
been
just sorely missing. And we were, I was kind of shouting it in the office the other day. I was like, how long does it take to just order up a set and like have one of your studios make it? Is it 2 weeks? Is it like, what would it take to make it?
It's the
Because I
buffet.
don't think anybody would be upset to walk away with a Crimson armor set.
I wish I knew. Like, I wish I had that information of like how long does it take to make. Well, I mean, it's technically not one; it's 3 armor sets.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's many
I just
pieces.
don't know. Like, it could be a week. It could be like 3
Because
weeks. I just don't know.
Yeah, and I say that because, well, either way, I want it, and it's missing, But I do understand on the other side, we're trying to get all these fixes in the game, and something's got to give. And it's a 1 week event that they kind of put out there. They redid Burning Shrine to Burnout. But still, if I just look at the rewards, that is by far the biggest thing. I'm just not chasing anything.
Yeah.
Which that would have been the sweet spot for me.
Just retexture the EDZ set again. They did for Dead Orbit.
Yeah.
It would have got me
Actually,
playing,
twice.
100%. Like I like the shaders, but a set would have got me playing. Like a cool crimson cloak with a rose on the back or whatever. Like it'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I played with Anthony. You might remember him. He's an old Destiny 1 player, and he was here last night to pick something up. He does production work. And I said, hey, you into Destiny too much and playing Crimson Doubles? He's like, nah, man, I just don't have any time. I was like, well, how come? He's like, well, it's just no Gallahorn. But
well,
it's
he's right. That's a good segue.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Wait, no
interesting.
time? No,
Yeah.
there's just no guy.
Right, but so that was his first statement, and it's funny that he actually said it so casual and cavalier, but it's like, that's the weird thing. You don't feel like there's this chase for something that is elusive. That
No,
But I also kind of feel like there wasn't, like, Crimson Days' objective wasn't necessarily to implement something like that. It was just kind of meant to be a more fun event. Like, I'm with you. If they had an armor set, I'd be like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it was meant to be designed to be this thing, to have a thing to go like, go get all the things.
Yeah,
Like,
but let me ask you
like
this,
low
then.
pressure.
Yeah.
So, like, why? What I'm looking for is a reason to play. So, what do you feel the reason to play is? If it's fun, but like maybe describe that for you.
I mean, honestly, it's probably just to like try out the game mode and like I don't know. It didn't feel like something that was meant to be this huge, significant thing. It was just kind of like, hey, here's like a little new thing to go try, and like, you know, you go play it for a couple hours and then
Different
you're out.
expectations.
Yeah.
I see.
The May expansion, though, that's going to be more the big event.
Yes,
deal.
that like
Yeah. It's interesting though. Like your expectation is almost like what it was last year. You know, where it was like, hey, like it's a quick ad. It's Valentine's Day, right? It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. But I'm like dying for a reason to play, and it's a new PvP mode, and I don't really enjoy PvP overall. So I think my expectation was much different, and I guess it's because I enjoy it. I enjoy the mechanics, but I got nothing to chase. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a few things, but I'm just not.
I just don't anticipated. I don't think Bungie anticipated the majority of people like wanting to do this for like 15 hours to grind. This. I'm sure some people have.
I would've.
But it feels more like hey, come back and try this thing, and then okay.
Yeah.
So I think what Fran's getting at is people are just hungry for stuff to do, and this was an opportunity to give them something like really big to chase. Like give them an armor set, give them as much as you possibly can right now. Because if you get people reinvested in grinding in your game, like I played a ton of Iron Banner to get that chest ornament, and I feel like it should be tweaked a little, but I still played a bunch, and I still had fun while I was doing it.
And indirectly, what you're saying is because there are things to chase, you don't feel though like ships, sparrows, ghosts. What else is in there? Like the
only thing was
value and emotes is valuable chasing.
Ghosts, I do not care. I want to repeat that you have like I don't care about ghosts because you can't see them unless I open my menu or you inspect it. And I keep saying this. I know I'm a broken record, but I want when you take your ghost out, or even if it's persistent in the tower, that it does something and means something. So like it's cool to get ghosts.
Yeah.
So whatever the case, I don't care about ghosts, and then I did care about a couple of the ornaments. But like ships and sparrows don't matter.
Yeah,
So.
I'm
So
an,
I
I'm
felt
an
like
emote guy. I gotta get the
Emotes,
clunky
yes.
one.
Yeah, if I got that
Everything
hard
else-
emote, I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
the hard emote is cool. I'm definitely chasing still. So.
All right. So the other topic, and CJ, you had a really good segue there from the Bungie Weekly Update, was from John Wisniewski, who brought up that they are going to be touching up exotic weapons. And basically, he said the problem is they're all spectacle, not enough utility. He used Graviton Lance as a concept for what they might be adjusting, saying they're going to give it, for example, this is not what they're actually doing, but like a bigger explosion and seeking projectiles. Some weapons that aren't getting updates include Merciless, Telesto, Wardcliff Coil, Mida Multitool, Colony, Acreus, and Vigilance Wing. So I think this is good, but we're still not getting the Gallahorn to bring people back.
We're not, and I mean, I had this question with a number of people off stream, but it's been enough of a pervasive issue where you think about all the major Destiny 1 exotics that people are coveting. A lot of them were power or heavy weapons. Dragon's Breath. Gallahorn, super good advice. Well, no.
I was like,
Sorry.
Dragon's been super good advice.
Yeah.
Pump the brakes there.
Sorry, they weren't coveting them, but
Last word.
truth, like
Mida.
no, but there was a lot of power weapons that were exotics that people just wanted to knock off the I got that on my exotic bucket list. And there
Truth was like, okay, I didn't get Gallahorn.
right. It was poor man's Gallahorn.
Constellation,
It's
yeah,
constellation.
it was great.
But it was good. It
It
had
was a good
3 in the
drop.
tube. In year 1, it was a different weapon. But so I mean, there's less of that right now, and we keep saying this. Besides Wardcliff Coil, it's like Merciless.
Yeah.
What else?
Totally.
So talking about this patch update, I'm going to lump it in with the US Gamer article and talk about he's saying that like bring back random rolls, bring back the weapons that feel special. And one of the design philosophies back in Destiny 1 was something he brought up that really resonated with me, the whack-a-mole approach. That weapon's too powerful. not, you can't use it anymore. It's trash.
Hunter's too powerful.
Hunter's too powerful. Get rid of the grenade that allows you to unicorn people. And that's what I always complain about on the show throughout the years. So it's interesting that they're buffing the weapons now, but is that going to be enough to get people back invested in PvP and PvE? I don't know.
It ultimately depends on how they buff the weapons or how they tweak them. Like you guys saying, oh, there's not gonna be a Gjallarhorn. What if there is? What if there's a new Hawkmoon? What if like Sturm ends up being like the dopest gun of all time? Like we don't know.
It won't.
Spit take.
I mean, it probably won't. But
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's the
it
question.
could happen. But
Fighting Lion, guys, is going to be dope.
I mean, hey, Fighting Lion did get a nice buff.
It did get a buff.
It did get a nice buff. We don't know how they're tweaking these weapons yet, so it's kind of tough to say if anything's gonna be good.
It's wait and see. But do you think they need to adjust their overall sandbox to actually be effective?
Yes, and this kind of goes along with a statement that they made about the shoulder charge nerf from a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
I was near livid when they nerfed shoulder charge movement because they never gave a reason why. And then a couple of weeks ago, they came out and said like, well, we found that people weren't, it felt bad to actually use your shoulder charge because people were using the mobility portion of it so much because it was effective and fun and blah, blah, blah. So instead of making it more fun to shoulder charge things, they took away the fun part of shoulder charge and then left the damage portion alone.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? At least do something to the shoulder charge portion of the
problem.
impact
Yeah.
to do it to make it more fun.
What about the other part? Yeah.
I was streaming
They
last
admitted
night.
they were wrong. They
Yeah,
said,
which
"You're
is
right."
good.
Yeah.
But
that
it's
was
like,
nice.
Why?
I was streaming last night.
Exactly.
People are like, why don't you shoulder charge more? I'm like, because then I lose my mobility option. Like, it doesn't do anything.
make it worth using shoulder. Like if I'm in a prestige level activity and I shoulder charge something, I do like half of health maybe.
And then maybe it burns for a little bit.
Like you should make that part more fun so that it's like, oh, well, both parts are fun. Like I can smash something in the face with my knee or I can use my mobility thing. Like it's going to be fun either way. But yeah, that kind of goes into the whole like, this is not how we wanted you to do it. So bad.
Make me shoulder charge somebody so hard that their arms, legs, and head pop off, and then seeking projectiles come out of their body and chase another enemy.
Yeah, just like
make it fun to do that.
Make the not fun part fun.
Yeah.
Don't make the fun part unfun. Because it's balanced, but now you have two unfun things instead of two fun things.
That right there, that's great. I know you want to get to a point. I have to say I've been smiling because a friend of mine were talking about this within the context of that. It's like, hey, Blade Dancer didn't connect. We've heard you guys. Guess what? Also nerfing special ammo and shotguns. What? No, that was fun. Don't do both. So they do that a lot and they don't give a reason why. And obviously they have data.
That's the most annoying part is they don't give reasons why. Right. And I could sympathize more if I at least understood the thought process.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I thought there was a good comparison for that in the article where they talked about hunters, right? And then they looked at data. This is where I think part of this happens. Bungie looks at data and graphs, which is quite valuable. They see things we cannot see, but it's sort of
Too many
over
people are
a
using
lot of
hunters.
people and variables. But they see things and they make adjustments. But then it was a simple point in the article, like the thing they were trying to fix, that wasn't really the issue. Hunters were just really agile in the air. So they were like, why don't you adjust the other classes to be better in the air? And then like instead of nerfing them was sort of the point. So I think that happens a lot where they look at data and they see the spike and they're like, they try to push the spike down, but it causes all these other issues. I think they're learning from that though and being a lot more careful.
The shoulder charge update got me really excited.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I also understand like not every single situation is a buff everything else situation. Like if you looked at Mythoclast when it first came out in year one,
oh god,
that's a issue.
If the community was saying buff everything else up to Mythoclast, everyone this would be Call of Duty. Like it would just like that's an example of a thing that needed to come down.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but like a lot of other things. You know, I understand. I'm not aboard the whole like buff everything else all the time to match it. Like I'm not on that train at all times. But then there are some things where I'm just like, yeah, maybe like
it's fun
maybe
to be
you
powerful.
should buff some other stuff instead.
Yeah, like grenades in general, maybe. So like right now, it's like skip grenades. They toned down pulse grenades because everybody was just nuking everything. With pulse
Which I thought was fair.
That was
I thought
okay.
that was fine.
Yeah,
I
they were
missed them.
pretty crazy.
Oh, you Titan main here.
Double Titan
They
bosses
were
were
they were pretty crazy. So like that
They were fun though.
But that's
To
an
melt
example
it.
of like if everything else got buffed up to pulse grenade, that would be a little
Like that would be it, right?
too
like
much.
skips right now are kind of rough in Crimson days.
In
but
Crimson,
imagine
yeah.
you had the Striker Titan problem on top of that, on top of the spike nades, and anyway, it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, people the first part of trials were throwing those grenades on the capture point and then just running away.
Oh,
They're like,
it was insane. Yeah, it was like protection.
Oh,
Put up an electrical
painful.
fence.
Well, you would do that with Warlock. I would do that with Warlock in Destiny 1. I would just throw my grenade on there and let it cook. I'd say like, yeah, you guys can go there. Feel free to cook.
Yeah.
And then I'd throw it on there and they'd die. It was great.
Yeah, great.
It felt fun though. And grenades still, with a few exceptions, do not feel fun in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a balance though, because if you play Crimson doubles,
Yeah,
like
I'm
I
having
said,
fun with skip nades.
it's fun,
With
but
some
there's a
exceptions.
Don't
point-
have Shinobu's Vow.
No,
I
and
don't.
you run into that and a couple other ones, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to understand why that 2 grenades and quick, like there's definitely a fine line between
Skips-
fun and
Skips are good. Pulses are good. But what are the other grenades that you're not using on your hunter? Those
Axiom bolts.
need a little bit of love.
Right.
But actually, spike nades are pretty brutal in the right maps.
They are.
Yeah.
They are still pretty brutal.
You just get melted under the propane torch that it is if they hit you. I was hoping to go. Can we talk about exotics again really fast? All right,
ahead,
here we go, everybody. I'm going anyway.
Fran.
So, no, I just want to at least state what, in case you didn't get a chance to read it, Wisniewski addressed, wanting to make exotics more exoticer, but the gameplay goals.
Exoticer.
That's his words,
Yeah.
not mine. Exotic-er.
He's a cool guy.
But anyway, the gameplay goals for this pass, which they're talking about, I believe, is targeted for March 27th. That was the last roadmap update we saw, so about a month from now. He says, tuning pass on exotic gear focused on adding or increasing player power spikes. Then the second thing, focusing on low-use items, but all items are being considered. And we went over the list. That's why Merciless and Mida are not really getting touched, they said. And the last thing was leaning into an item's established gameplay and push it harder. Avoid catch-all improvements that dilute the item identity. And then I was hoping maybe could we talk about how he exemplified the Graviton Lance changes they're thinking about?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, put in short, Graviton Lance was cool from design. It has an awesome sound effect on that third shot. It was really cool to hear them talk about what it is it's a 3-burst, and it's the first one it helps like smooth this tunnel of air, and then through it, the third shot is frictionless and opens up this tunnel. So this is how they think about the stuff, which I actually think is awesome.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that stuff gets lost.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe we could get a cutscene for every exotic that would explain it. But when I saw it, I was like, this is cool. So anyway, they're going to dial it back from 3 to 2. And it was really that third recoil that people were like, you cannot use that in PvP. And also the way that it exploded the enemy after wasn't quite right. So they're trying to focus in on people like all this stuff, but the recoil sucks is basically what I read.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're going to try to fix that. And basically it's going to be seemingly a pretty high-powered pulse rifle.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the
In
way
the
they're
right
looking
hands.
at it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
I mean, the power fantasy to me has always been getting those kills and seeing those black hole explosions, and then they just never felt like they did a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that was, if I remember correctly, it went too far back, that part of it. So it would go back and explode kind of far away. So now they're going to try to adjust it that it kind of goes up a bit. So it means it has more of a chance to hit enemies around you.
Right.
So we'll see. Yeah, and they're buffing pulse rifles in the next update and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's been tweeting out that they've been trying some of this stuff in PvP.
Yeah, the meta's changing, right?
as they're messing around at the studio, and it's changing how weapons feel.
Yeah. And the last detail drop that I was real fast want to point out, we don't know if this is all true, but remember, for February 27th, my birthday, they said that Nightfall scoring and high score tracking, Embla, Aura, and Rework, Fireteam members on the destination map, public text chat opt-in for PC.
Finally.
Thank you.
Then the related exotic repetition reduction. Then there was companion mod shader interactions potentially.
Deleting.
And companion vendor viewing. And they said maybe unique Nightfall Strike Awards, and that was one of the maybe. But when you think about it, we're like a couple weeks away. They're only talking about some exotic tuning changes. There seems to be a lot in there that we haven't heard about. I wonder if it's going to happen or not.
And that's why everyone's going to be back next week. Every player that's left. They're coming for that 0.27%. Yeah, just kidding.
But I'm
They're
excited to hear
positive
about
changes.
those
I'm being a
things.
little cynical today,
Yeah.
but they are
But-
positive changes.
Yeah, it's all good. None of these things are meant to be this huge mega patch that comes in. It's like, this is the super amazing patch. It's like all tiny little improvements, and then maybe down the road, when you have all of these things added up together, for someone who hasn't been back in 6 to 8 months, then it feels much more impactful because it's like, oh, they changed this and this and this, and whoa.
And I would guess September-ish is when they're gonna do that big adjustment and get people back in. They're like, we've done all the road work, big expansion.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they did in the past.
Yeah, and maybe in a way they're building and testing on the way to that sort of final stage. But that would be good. Like, get some things out there so you're ready for that big drop. We don't want to be back to square one with some other new updates.
For me, the May expansion is going to be really, really interesting to see how the audience responds, and if it's any good. Yeah.
But that's a weird thing about talking about all these exotics. Like, we're now in a phase where you're like, oh, you know what these exotics are supposed to do within the context of Destiny 2, but they didn't launch as powerful. So are they going to be exciting to get still? Like, everything in Destiny 1 launched, and you're like, oh man, Hawkmoon, awesome. This, awesome. That, awesome. Now,
Partly because they maybe didn't know how strong they actually ended up being.
and that's true, but I just think to myself, are we going to feel the same way getting them again? Like, once you already have them, now you're just going to use them. So for me, I think, because everybody goes, oh, why do I not have that magic feeling of Destiny 1 again? I think some of it is just familiarity, but then others is like, okay, well, they didn't launch powerful. How do you have that feeling again where now they're...
Of excitement.
Yeah, of excitement where they're buffing it over time, but it's in your inventory and you're like, okay, well, now I have it and I'll just use it maybe. Like,
Well, I mean, that's just... They're bad. I mean, they made the mistake and they're buffing them, so they've lost that
it's
moment.
good that
but
they're
I'm glad they're
buffing.
doing it.
Yeah, it's true, but it is, to me, it's a challenge. For sure.
I would hope that there's something in there that, like, for Argos, for example, for the raid layer, that they're targeting like an exotic or something and saying, if you all use this, it'll be awesome.
You will melt the boss.
I know you're a big raid guy, but would you like that if everybody started talking about they buff this one exotic, kind of like Icebreaker or whatever it used to be?
Yeah.
How would you feel about that being like a strategy to get you to be excited?
That would be okay with me. You know, as long as there's something to get people excited about using certain things again. Like, I don't feel the exact same way. I think getting loot, getting exciting loot, getting that mythical Gjallarhorn-esque item, that's always an exciting thing. I don't think we're going to get that feeling until like either the next expansion or September update or something like that.
Yeah.
But if there's something like if Graviton Lance ends up being like this super dope, awesome, fun gun to use, I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of targeting things was my point is that as they try to fix things, great. But what I remember is you just like you should be using Gjallarhorn in the raid. Now that was Gjallarhorn, but there were other weapons, be it Black Spindle or others that those became in certain moments you would swap to those exotics. And in other words, like take Graviton Lance. If it becomes such a useful weapon during some stage of the raid, that would be awesome, you know, or like, you know what I'm saying.
To take out War Priest, you want a Black Spindle.
I mean, that's why I really liked King's Fall and Wrath of the Machine is that it felt like I could have different loadouts for different fights, and I enjoy tweaking my loadout in that way. I don't want to just sit with the same 3 weapons for an entire run. I think part of the fun of an RPG style thing that you're doing is being able to switch it up. That's why I'm kind of liking Monster Hunter right now. It's like, oh, I'm going to fight this boss. Okay, so I'm going to tweak this piece out. I want this set bonus. I'm going to switch these mods out and these mods in, and just the refinement and the tuning that you can do to your kit.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like if one of these gets tuned and it melts the lanterns in baths, I'd be like, awesome. You know, it gets people excited to change the weapon and bring it in there. So
well, basically just do Titan Hammers and you're good in baths.
Yeah, everybody being tight.
You don't want to make it too strong though. I feel like options are always good. It's nice to get something out there that's like really powerful and it really excites everybody, but you maybe don't want to make it an absolute requirement because then you go back to like an LFG year 1, year 2 situation where
no Gjallarhorn GT.
So you want it to be strong, but you don't want to be too much it creates a negative.
How does LFG sound? What do they sound like?
I don't know. I have a couple.
Gjallarhorn.
I got a couple
level 30,
voices.
300 runs.
And since Destin brought it up, remember that what's coming in addition to the expansion, they say the Season 3 updates are Eater of Worlds Prestige Mode, seasonal Crucible rankings, private matches, Volt space increase.
50 slots.
This is in May.
That's not a fix. That is a Band-Aid. That is a Band-Aid.
You hear that,
Shouldn't
Destin?
mention
50 slots.
Multi-emote, Exotic
That's still
Masterworks.
25 less than we left Destiny 1.
All right.
Triggers him, Datto.
Multi-emote, Exotic Masterworks, seasonal vendor progression, faction rally improvements. But how about them private matches? That would be fun.
You lost me after Vault.
Private matches I'm always kind of iffy on because when they first came out, I used them a whole bunch and played with my friends and stuff. I would love to know the usage numbers on private matches. Outside of like that first couple of weeks, like it had to have just fallen off a cliff.
I agree. I didn't use it a ton, but it was really nice to have as an option. You know, to
it's a thing that the game should have, but it's also a thing where I think people grossly overestimate how often they are used.
Totally. Like if I had to choose, like you either get private matches or whatever, we're getting Iron Banner 6v6. I'd be like, let's try 6v6 Banner. You can throw away private matches instead. If I had to choose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like it would be great if you could just customize a playlist of sorts and just like the subreddit could be like, hey, this weekend anybody can queue up if they designed it this way. Just like, hey, everybody do this playlist because we'll all get queued together and then the community can kind of come together and come up with their own events.
That'd be cool.
That'd be creative. But because they're private, you have to like do way more coordination if it was just like a matchmaking.
Or if there was like a code that you could enter like on Monster Hunter. If there's like Monster Hunter has a session ID, you give that session ID to someone, they can just join on you. You don't have to send out all these friends invites and blah, blah, blah. Like you could just go on Reddit and be like, hey, here's the code. Drop your codes in here to make custom games for blah, blah, blah. And then you could just have everyone kind of join in on that.
That'd be cool.
I would love to see that, where the community is enabled to, like they got these card modifiers and stuff coming up. And like if we could make a playlist and let people like join it.
You just create it and let anybody queue in and try out your design or whatever.
Well, we've also talked about this before in previous episodes where Bungie has already innovated much greater things than they implemented in private matches in Halo. So you had like crazy customizations. You had speed. You had Forge World. You had all this stuff. Well, Forge World and Reach. I don't think they're going to do that. And if they don't do that, then it's kind of like, well, okay, you're right. Like private matches is good. I thinking about when I used it most, it was to test the nerf of IS Luna's Distant by somebody standing on a special box and going,
it was invaluable for content creation.
It was super helpful.
It was
like
really
no
good.
more having to go into PvP and then like hiding in a corner with Holtzman and just like, okay, you shoot me, shoot you, and then write it down real quick, and then there's someone coming. There's someone coming. Like, it was super valuable to us.
I would love to see if you guys have never recorded yourselves live doing that'd be a great video, like trying to record in that.
So hopefully it's more than just that.
So, not much else to say about the US Gamer article, except I really enjoyed reading it. I thought it made some good points, but Fran, you actually thought that it was fairly flat.
Well, no, I thought it was a really well put together article, but like we've run into a lot, like whatever, when Duggan comes in and throws a pile of salt on the table, valid, absolutely. And I think that's where some of the newer audience gets lost. Like I just feel like we've talked about it all. Yeah. We know, right? This whole whack-a-mole problem. Like to me, it was nicely put together. And that's what I liked about it. I was like, yep, problem. Absolutely agree. But the only thing I didn't like was the ending, which was like, by the way, I've uninstalled it. I played 1,000 hours more plus of Destiny 1, and if you want me back, you got to do more than just tell me you're going to buff stuff. And like, I get it, but there was a little bit of like
that wasn't about him though. He said the community as a whole, like,
but it was about him. He said he has uninstalled the game and he's not coming back until you change it, which I like as like a challenge. I just thought for me it tainted the viewpoint on what was written.
Right.
He clearly loves Destiny 1, no question, but I don't know that in the current state of Destiny 2 that it fully addresses like what we're talking about today. Like all these updates that I've been talking about, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
It was a lot of what we loved in Destiny 1. I think that's easy to latch onto. Like,
but I mean, the solution to fixing Destiny 2 is not just like bring back Destiny 1. Like, I get a zillion questions of like,
random
how do you
rolls.
think, like, what would you think if they remastered Destiny 1 and put it on PC? I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I already did everything that I wanted to do in Destiny 1. I want Destiny 2 to be its own thing. Like, I don't know.
No,
if they
you're
bring
right.
back trials,
That's what I'm
though,
getting at.
I would be totally fine if they did
Just do that.
Just do that.
Like, you
but
better
everything
bring
else.
back a map every now and then, an exotic, sprinkle it in. Fine, but I don't think Destiny 2 just needs to be like Destiny 1 remastered, and then just that's it.
Yeah, and that was exactly it. It was a really nicely put together historic look at Bungie's problems. It brought up some past updates that I thought was really nicely found where it was like, remember when they did this stuff?
Yeah.
You're like, gosh, that is part of the problem. Really nicely done. But what the thing was at the end was a mic drop. And like, that's what's sitting on the table right now. And that's sort of the point is like, that's the work that has to be done. So what are we going to do to fix it?
What I took away from it is Bungie's making all these changes, but nobody's going to care that Nightfalls have changed in this way. That's not what's going to bring back the players. What's going to bring back the players is new gameplay, new things to discover, just interesting gameplay. And it's not there right now. The weapon sandbox is still fairly boring. Maybe this exotic patch changes it a little bit, but still people have this memory of the dual primary system and heavies and they don't like it.
But see, that's my exact point. Like it's like when CJ brings up, and he's right, but like with what Datto's saying, it's like, you bring up a lot the past weapon slotting.
Yeah, I do.
You're like, I just want it back. But would you say that you could just bring back the past weapon slotting and it would fix the game?
No,
absolutely not.
But
And I know that.
That's all I'm trying to illustrate is like the story was very much about that. But I'm like, I feel like what we talk about is like, these upcoming changes.
Yes.
How can we tweak what we have today, you know, and fix it?
No, I was gonna say, like, the whole bringing back people en masse thing. I don't think that should really be the focus, like, at this time for Bungie. I think they need to focus more on making a game that their veteran and their sort of hardcore community wants to play in general, because I think just that alone will drive people back. Because if you look at Destiny 2, I've had the view of Destiny 2 being a game that was sort of created for people who weren't playing Destiny and were trying to get all of these people back, right?
And
And then they did, and then they kind of fell off. But I think if you take a different approach and just focus on making a game, instead of trying to bring people back, just keeping the people that you have, that news is going to spread. Friends are going to be like, I just went back to Destiny. You should play in. It got really good. And then that's how you sort of rebuild your crowd. It doesn't need to be this huge, just spike up.
So
it's fine, gradual, because word will spread.
I think the Division managed to do that with the slow regaining of an audience. I mean, it's still not a huge audience, but there has definitely been an increase in people
Took 2
playing.
years.
Warframe is seeing a large increase right now because people want that fix.
They've just been chugging along, chugging real slow. And then it just all comes together and word spreads like, hey, Warframe, it's dope. Let's go.
Yeah. And I think we might see that with like a September Taken King size update, because with Destiny 1, they lost a lot of people. Then Taken King came back and people were like, oh, I'm hearing a lot of good things. I need to check this out. And they got their player base.
Yeah, it's funny. Year one, it's a good reminder. Like, we've seen this before. Taken King brought people back.
Because it was great.
Fixes after that.
My only objection to that is the difference in this situation, getting over a cold, apologies, is that in Destiny 1, the hardcores stayed all the way through for the most part. So you have almost a reversal. It built up slow, people stayed, got into it, and brought more people in it. Now you have the opposite happening, where if the hardcores aren't championing it, then you're right, they need to come back. Now, I don't think the power switching that is not the thing that fixes it.
No, yeah.
Right? Not alone.
Not alone, exactly. But there are a bunch of little things that need to happen. The crazy thing is that looking back at it now, we all had such great memories of Destiny 1 early on. Even Crimson Doubles right now, a week, it's like, I'm in love.
I didn't like Crimson Double.
Okay, so interesting. So right now, fine. I actually enjoy it. But I think to myself, if it stayed around for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, would I still feel like that? Or would I be like, okay, like I've had enough pulse grenades in my face for a couple weeks. And that's the challenge. Like the opposite is happening with Destiny 2, and it's kind of weird why we had this little, fling at first, and then it kind of tapered off.
Like a passionate relationship, and then you're like,
but yeah,
this
like
isn't working out.
I think
there it is.
We've been covered. You actually succeeded at bringing in a lot of new players and people who played a little of 1 and didn't think they'd ever play Destiny again. So they succeeded at that. And then normally we would stay, we'd be playing, but then that's what we've been talking about. We're losing us. You're playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm playing Fortnite and I still play the game, but you know what I mean. That is exactly it. The hardcore players are slipping.
Yeah.
And in fact, they've already left. There's a lot that have
you can't let that devote. I don't even want to say hardcore. I just want to say that devoted or veteran audience.
That's a better way
You
to say
can't let them go because they're your core. They're the ones who spread the word.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think players like you need more meat in the content, in that like there's nothing to crunch number-wise for you, really.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not Bungie's job to give me a job. It's my job to make sure that I get to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, Bungie shouldn't be focusing on content creators and being like, oh, they're running out of stuff, like, to promote the game, like, make stuff for them. That's not how it goes. And it shouldn't go like that. If it
I agree.
Goes. Well, just don't. It's my job to make sure that I can maintain what I'm able to do. And if I run into trouble, that's my problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let's segue into your topic actually. How has it been since Destiny 2 has been in dramatic decline? I was streaming last night. There were 25 people watching Destiny 1 and under 2,000 watching Destiny 2, the lowest numbers I've ever seen on Twitch.
Oh, I've seen it. I mean, granted, it's like at completely abnormal times, but I've seen it under 600 people at times.
That is dramatically low.
Yeah. No, it's been a struggle. I was, and many other people were pretty unprepared for, I think, how things ended up going down. And it's certainly been interesting trying to figure out how to just maintain the channel and just maintaining like Destiny appearances and all that, because at this point, you know, I'll do a stream on Tuesday that I've been doing for 3.5 years now. It's when I usually do all my raids and stuff on stream. And then after that, I'm off to other things. And Destiny videos, I don't want to just be like a news channel posting every day. Like, here's a little 3-sentence thing that somebody said about whatever. I don't want to do that. I'll have like my one video that like, oh, they talked about the raid update and the prestige update. I'll talk about that, sure. But like Crimson Doubles, like, yeah, it's Crimson Doubles. There's some stuff. Go have fun.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to say.
Less detailed.
Yeah.
So have you adjusted?
Not great. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you're Datto Does Destiny, right?
Yeah.
How do you adapt? Like, are you Datto Does Monster Hunter now? Is that the plan?
I would. That's what I would think some people are considering me. I've logged almost 150 hours on Monster Hunter since release, and I'm trying to generate content, but it's very difficult to enter an already established community, right? It was easy for me to enter the Destiny community because it wasn't established. I was one of the very first people doing coverage. Like, love me or hate me, like at some point it was me, Destiny updates, and more console at the very beginning. And love me or hate me, or love them, hate them, that's all you had. So I was just one of your only options. With something like Monster Hunter, Division, Warframe, any of those games, they have established communities. They have their established creators. They have their experienced knowledge base. And to enter those and not only become part of that community, but an expert level contributor of that community requires hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of just grinding away at the game, creating content, and all of that. That's why some of my Monster Hunter content so far has just been like, how to get Palico gadgets and how to farm money. It's just really easy, basic stuff, because that's all I really know. I don't know the game as in-depth as some of these other guys like Eric's and Gaijin Hunter and all these other YouTubers.
Who've played like all of them.
Right, who've played every single Monster Hunter known to man.
Yeah.
So entering those communities is very difficult, and you don't want to make a bad first impression either. You don't want to create a whole bunch of stuff that people are just like, what is this guy talking about? He's wrong with this, he's wrong with that.
He hasn't played 1,000 hours, obviously.
Right. I need to build credibility in these franchises, and that's something that I just don't have yet. So it's very tough to break into another one of those markets.
Interesting to hear you say that, because that's, I think, the challenge with what we have now. We get James Duggan on the show sometimes. He's got some great feedback, and he's got great, game knowledge in a bunch of areas, but he hasn't played Destiny 1. And there's a bunch of people who say that in the comments. Doesn't mean his feelings are,
It
it's
doesn't invalidate them.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But some people,
It's a different perspective.
Some people do feel that way though, because they're like, hey, you didn't like grind for 500 hours and didn't get a Gallahorn like I did all year one. So relating to those people, relating to those people for sure is difficult. And I actually heard Holtzman say similar things on DCP. He's like, when you come in on number 2 and you haven't had any of the previous experience on that, it's like for the way we feel with Warframe and Division, like I wasn't there for all those last few years. It's difficult to talk about those games.
Yeah. I get the sense, though, that you're catering, though, to a Destiny audience who plays Monster Hunter, though, right? Which is a good thing. But is that the sense do you get as well? It's a lot of the people that were playing Destiny and now moved on to Monster Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of just like, hey, this is a thing that I'm pretty interested in. if you guys are playing it too, here, like, let's learn together. You know, like I'm learning and you guys are learning, so let me get a little far ahead of you, and then okay, here's how this works and here's how that works. But it's not something that's gonna, you know, I'm not all of a sudden become a Monster Hunter channel.
Right.
Just that's not where my complete passion lies. But it's just trying to figure out, like, okay, what's something at least in the meantime that I know a decent chunk of my audience is doing that I can maybe help them along the way while we're burning time waiting for Destiny content in between.
Burning Time, the new map
Exactly.
that's coming out.
So sort of bringing the conversation full circle, talking about the weapon balance. The thing that I loved about the content that you created for Destiny 1 was you would take a bunch of different sniper rifles that seemed to be in the meta. You would try them all out during the raid. You would take the math and then apply that to a video where you break down the statistics of what the weapons do. That's super interesting, high-level content. In Destiny 2, it's changed so that, hey, if it has this stat, this is how much it's going to do, and they're all sort of flat. So to bring the article into the conversation, do you think randomizing roles would create more interesting gameplay in Destiny 2, or should they avoid it?
It would. I think it would, because it allows people to experiment. It allows people to maybe realize, like, oh, this gun that had a previously locked role, all of a sudden when you get this perk combination on it, it ends up being a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have the full weapon. Like each weapon has basically its own archetype. Like hand cannons, you have the slow firing, the medium firing, and the high firing, and maybe a high rate of fire hand cannon in the game right now. I can't think of one off the top of my head besides Sunshot, but that doesn't count.
Midnight Coup.
Is Midnight Coup fast firing?
150, I think, RPM.
Either way,
I use it all the time.
I mean,
it's a good one.
if there's like a vendor one that just has like a trash roll on it, if there were other perks on there that could maybe make that archetype better, it could see maybe a place in the meta.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sort of weird on random rolls. Like at first I kind of thought random rolls, I never considered random roll grinding to really be a grind in the game. It was just the kind of illusion of one. And for a long time I thought if Bungie had replaced random rolls with an equally as satisfying grind experience, that people wouldn't harp on random rolls as much. Now I think, you know, having that perk variety would be nice. I don't think it's the, hey, random rolls are back, everybody come back.
Yeah.
That's, you know, much like everything else.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah.
maybe related though, because like it's a good question. But like, is that the reason that you're not, dissecting the raids with different? Meaning, more directly, why don't you try to dissect the best of all, either snipers or rockets against the single boss anymore? Like, do you feel that the need is there?
No.
And why not? If why not?
Well, partly because cluster bomb like if we're gonna go purely gameplay driven, cluster bomb rockets are just insane.
Yeah.
Because if the clusters fall a very specific way onto a boss, they all just stack up instead of actually spreading out. So you're getting like 25 extra little points of damage that you normally wouldn't get.
So like rockets are just basically the be all,
and that's why something like Sunbreaker explosive hammers on Argos are so good. It's because normally you throw a hammer, it explodes outwards. With Argos, you throw a hammer and all of them get kind of caught on Argos, or they all kind of explode on Argos anyway. So you end up doing 5 times the normal damage of a hammer, right?
Brand's not good at math.
No, I get that.
But otherwise, it's like we already know one weapon archetype is just so overwhelmingly just better. I did test auto rifles, hand cannons, pulse rifles, scout rifles on Callus. And I found that auto rifles were overwhelmingly, like very surprisingly so, just the best weapons to use, at least for like a DPS.
You backed up my war rig sweet business theory, which was like, hey, that thing wrecks.
War rig was really good, and auto rifles ended up being really good, but nothing's really changed since then, since I've done those tests, that would warrant further testing. There haven't been any hugely significant. I think auto rifle crit modifiers got slightly reduced, but nothing else got adjusted, so at worst, auto rifles are now on par with everything else, so it doesn't really matter what you're using.
It's still, there's your optimal load.
And it goes back to the conversation we just had where it's like, yeah, you had Black Spindle. That was the way to crush War Priests in that mode. And there's not a lot of those things that stand out now. And that's what I was wondering too, just about the random rolls. Like, when you have the ability to stat different things that potentially have a dramatic impact, like Firefly or, you know, reload, maybe a little bit more like stashing, there is other things that made it fun in certain encounters, and now a lot of that stuff feels gone. Right. So
this is where I was going with it. Like I know CJ has this perception that I don't want random rolls or something, which we've talked about it.
You have said it
Brand
on the
doesn't
show.
want
We've talked about it
Smash cut
on
where
the
it said it.
show.
I'm gonna do it.
And
I know which
said,
episode it is.
I would love it if they had planned like some other random rolls for weapon, but a planned thing. Not, quite frankly, I did not enjoy chasing Ias Luna for like 4 or 5 months to get tons of crappy rolls. It was way too much of my time.
But you
I don't want to go back to that world.
I get it.
I want the best of both worlds.
I
right?
definitely feel you there.
Right.
It's a completely random grind. That's why I never thought it was a good
So
grind.
random.
Because Ias Luna could have came out day one, and within 2 hours you could have got the God roll Ias Luna, and your grind was done.
Right.
Or you could have spent 1,000 hours trying to get one and never gotten one.
Yeah, there was no knockout
if?
table on this.
There was not.
What if
There was a crafting system.
Yeah. Or
Dead serious.
what if there were knockout tables on
I mean,
rolls?
I love
Yeah.
crafting.
What if there was only 5 really good rolls and those were in a random table? But
Well, they
putting that
mostly
aside-
were.
But also what constitutes like a good random roll?
Right.
To Bungie,
Yeah,
like if
yeah.
they set them up,
Right.
like they might think
So
this is good.
Let
blah,
me
blah, blah.
build my God roll Galahorn. They had the mission in Destiny 1 where you rebuilt the Galahorn when Rise of Iron came out.
But I've been
and you were able to get the pieces
Yeah.
and build it. And then like if they elaborated upon that as opposed to just locking all the loadouts, I think that would have
But
been
you
really interesting.
you can't make it too easy because then we have what we have now, where
Right.
everyone is showered in loot.
Yeah.
And everyone gets exactly what they want right away, but then they have no reason to keep going because there's nothing else.
Yeah.
And now you're just like,
Right.
oh well, I
So-
got the thing, and now I'm done.
Yeah.
So I was going somewhere with this, obviously.
Go.
Which
I don't
is
blame you.
random rolls.
Sorry.
I believe right now. No. This is for you.
No, it's me.
This is
It's
for you
me
while you're here,
attacking.
which is for me. Random rolls, great, really good conversation. Do you think that would fix the game now? No, right? Because PvP, no matter what random roll you get, is not going to be better.
That's true.
And the bosses are not going to be any harder, or right? Why would you need a random roll?
Yeah.
Right.
No.
That's my point.
But the
And there's
excitement-
not enough bosses, by the way.
But the excitement of
That's another
actually
issue.
getting something like, you know, when somebody else gets something that drops on the screen, it's like I played Crucible tons, and every time somebody else got an Ice Luna and they were in my party, it's like, oh, let's inspect that.
Yeah. It was.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it was the hype thing.
It was
Yeah.
just hype
Bring
thing.
back that feeling, not necessarily the random
But
rolls.
they can't do that right now with static weapons because again, the quote that everybody refers is how do we make the 2nd, 3rd, 10th Better Devil special? There's no way to do that right now, and that is the challenge. If they're not going to do it with the mod system, how are they
And
going
I
to do it?
agree with you. So I just want to be clear. I want that improvement just
hates
like you do. I'm just saying I don't think it's the top priority fix right now.
That-
I have
that's
other
totally fair.
things.
That's true.
That's my
agree.
That's all.
It's-
They have to fix the ball. Yeah.
But I am
Not
going
where I was gonna go with that.
Oh,
but
no.
that's fair.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just you have to, for all the super high highs in Destiny 1, you have to have those super low lows.
Yes.
And Destiny 2 smushed them.
yeah.
like
So
the
the
meta.
highs are not nearly as high, but the lows are not nearly as low.
Yeah.
If you want
Yeah.
this,
Face
you
it.
got to deal with this
Skill
as well.
gap.
Yeah.
That's why I always laugh when people are like, I wish things were more like World of Warcraft. Like, let me break down World of Warcraft loot for you. You're maybe getting 2 pieces of loot in a raid environment a month.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, that was more old school. Nowadays, it's probably a little bit more, but you're not getting 12 pieces of loot every single raid run in WoW.
Yeah.
You're getting
No slot machine. happening.
sometimes you get nothing.
I did one prestige raid run and I got all the gear, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
like, oh well, all right. And it's all Masterworks. Actually, I did my second run and I didn't have the sash, and I got a Masterworks sash, and I was like, well, I guess I don't need to work on grinding that up anymore either.
You can't make
know?
it too
Yeah.
rewarding because then you just eliminate all of the reasons to go play. People want cool armor, but if you get an entire set of armor in 2 or 3 runs,
Yeah, I got it
What
in
now?
one.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And
We'll move on. Go ahead.
but that was it. Just to finish the point, I actually was pretty excited when we first were playing Destiny and the Leviathan raid.
Yeah.
And we were
Yes.
figuring out, we all had our combos, but it was actually kind of tricky then because our light level was lower, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what
It was
I wanted,
harder.
That's what I
yeah.
wanted to say.
And in that moment, use War Rig, use these 2 ARs. That was the moment of Destiny 1 that we had. And then it went all away because once you get power and everything is powerful, that to me is the problem to fix. And we just don't have enough of that challenge right now.
But that's because, hang on, that's because in Destiny 1, sorry, we got to get into it now, you actually had to maximize your DPS. You felt like you came in
That's what I
under
want.
level.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen anymore because power level is almost irrelevant.
So then
you
they
could
need
beat
to
the raid
address
at a
that.
super low level
That's
and
right.
feel like, okay,
we
it doesn't
do.
matter what weapon I use, let's
Yes.
just crush the raid.
That's the problem.
I also feel this is funny. It's very very contrast
Sorry.
to a lot of the community that's saying I want to feel like a super mega god, and you guys are saying I want more challenge. It's a very weird dichotomy between the people who really just want to feel ultra powerful, but then there's also the people who want that challenge. I think they just feel like maybe they want the challenge to be more. I don't know if fair is the right word.
I want the puzzle of figuring out optimized DPS for a boss. Now, usually you don't get that on your first run. Like with Skolas, people didn't figure that out immediately, right?
And I figured
took-
it out pretty darn.
That took, yeah, it's Gallahorn with burn.
Solar
yeah.
burn.
Solar burn. Yeah.
And then they fixed the fight and it was better.
Yeah. But that's the gameplay that I enjoy discovering it. And that's why I love your videos so much because I'm like, oh, he's solved it.
Yeah.
And it took him a week or usually a few days if you're really quick. And then that was fun. I want that feeling back. And I don't know if random roll solves that desire.
I think a decent part of it is there's only technically one boss in the Leviathan.
Yeah.
If there were more
I've been
bosses,
saying too, yeah.
all these are very puzzle-driven, event-style encounters. They're not true boss encounters.
Yeah.
So if we have like a King's Fall style raid in September or something, where there's more bosses, physical bosses, then I think you get a bit more of that.
Yeah.
How
It's
you
a
get-
shooting game.
Yeah, but how you gonna DPS check the bath containers?
Yeah.
How you gonna DPS check the gauntlet? There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do with
Hey,
it.
you know those things that don't move? Just shoot them.
Yeah, there's nothing to do
With
there.
whatever.
So with more bosses, I think that'll help that case as well.
We're running out of time, so I do want to talk about the last segment, which is fan feedback. You guys have had some fan feedback in the comments lately. CJ's been collecting these for us, and I wanted to take a second to talk about a few of them. CJ, why don't you get
Yeah, well, there's just a couple here. I will say that one of the fans was Lars from Bungie. You know, he was
Wait, did he
watching.
say he was a fan though?
Yeah, you know,
heard that
I
guy.
mean, he
He
replied.
said like watching. No, he
replied.
was very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What comment are you talking about?
He was basically, they were saying how it's cool to see people get excited about, I was super amped about Burning Shrine, coming back to that game, which kind of spawned a big, long conversation online. What is your favorite D1 map? Or top 3 D1 maps would you like to return? Now, I know my 3, so Datto, do you want to?
Sure. I think a lot of people are going to say Rusted Lands.
Yep.
That was
Just
mine.
natural favorite. I really like Bannerfall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel that there's
Really good.
the community is kind of divided on that one. And I was trying to think of a third. Shores of Time was one, but that's already back. I kind of liked Frontier.
Okay.
The train tracks down the middle map.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was PlayStation exclusive, right? Did it ever come to Xbox?
Was it a PlayStation exclusive? I thought Sector 618 was the PlayStation exclusive.
You're probably right.
They had a few.
I
so-
think if they slightly adjusted Frontier, mainly to kind of get rid of that section off to the side in the water where you can just hide behind the rocks,
Yes.
adjust that a little bit, I kind of like that map. Maybe move a couple of the capture points as well because it was kind of one-sided.
I
sometimes.
know which one you're talking about.
This is
I was
with
thinking about the
Cafe
other one.
in the center and like the
it's
train
a Taken
down
King
and back.
one. It was the one that we played on Rift, basically, Fran, when you and I were at E3 a while back.
Yeah,
It's the one with the bridge going right down the middle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Now,
I know
kinda
where
like that
everyone went
map.
on top of the bridge. I actually
Yeah, that one.
I always hated it in Trials.
Yes. I hated
Because
it.
people
in
would go on
Trials.
top and
Yes. Terror over Trials.
Adjust that but
took me a
overall, I like that map.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel like
Wait,
give her a different.
Those were the 3: Rusted Lands,
Rusted
Frontier,
Lands,
and
Bannerfall, and Frontier.
Bannerfall. Got it.
Nice.
Yeah, mine are. I like the smaller map. So it was Burning Shrine, Asylum, which
Asylum's
also has
good.
that cafe, and then Rusted Lands.
Yeah.
And a lot. All that is predominantly based on Trials and Plan C. That's why I like those maps.
Mine was Rusted Lands, Twilight Gap, and
good.
it's already back. Shores of Time. Like Shores of Time was one of my favorite
Distant
maps.
Shores.
I loved jumping out to that little platform and like, going around.
It's a
and
cool
I like
spot.
the lanes, and I love that it's back. Every time I get it, I'm like, oh man, this is one of my favorite maps. So yeah.
Burning Shrine, obviously, Rusted Lands, and Asylum. I like
Really?
Asylum as
Oh,
well, too,
wow, we
Of
didn't
all
know.
the trials.
That's funny.
Of all the trials.
I
And
think
what
Asylum
weapon?
worked pretty well for 44.
Yeah.
What
would.
weapons did you use?
Well, I use Ice Luna always.
And
Well,
Usually.
a plan C,
Yeah,
but
until you needed sniper rifle ammo. And you probably use icebreaker.
snipers are. Oh, I love so many snipers, so many good ones. But
good.
yeah, so that was interesting. And if you're out there, let us know what are your top 3 favorite. I can't remember now the tweet. I should have pasted in there. What did he say? What's the garden map with the chapel again?
He likes Widow's Court.
Widow's Court.
Yeah.
Also, a
He
really
said
good
that doesn't
map.
mean it's coming back.
It doesn't mean it's coming back.
yeah.
But if we did, Widow's Court would also
Actually,
be a really good one.
he gave 2 picks. He said very tough to pick favorites, but here goes. D1 was Widow's Court, and his favorite D2 map right now is Midtown.
Yes.
Midtown's pretty good.
But he says, if you ask me tomorrow, that might change. So it's just
That's one thing I don't mind Bungie bringing back from Destiny 1. You want to bring back a map every so often, sort of like how they've been doing with the events. That's fine. That's good with me.
That works for me too. A couple of the other comments, Destin, this one you might have addressed this one online. King, I will say Hyperion 6. Well, close enough.
That's right.
Finding it very disheartening how you guys get on the podcast and not have all the information announced. Crimson 2s v2s will have a mechanic that if you're close to your partner,
he explains the stuff.
yeah, and he kind of goes into details. But basically,
we'll read the whole comment.
okay,
Give him
let's read it. Yeah. If you're close to your partner, you'll get a light that gives you better vision. If you're too far apart, the enemy team will. Oh, sorry.
That's the quote.
That's the quote.
Oh, I
sorry.
see.
That's the thing that we. Yeah, exactly.
that's
weren't
what we
sure,
were
so-
discussing.
That's what we went over.
Yes.
But we didn't talk about the radar in detail.
It sounded like we didn't know what we were talking about because we were hypothesizing the vision aspect of the
light.
quote from the
We just
thing.
jumped straight to that. Yeah.
And the commenter was saying that it made it sound like we didn't know what we were talking about. So I actually appreciate this kind of feedback.
Yeah.
Where people actually are like, hey, this is correct. But he thinks, based on his comment, that we don't know anything about Destiny. And I think that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have 1,100 hours in Destiny 1.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't remember every single detail, though. And I struggle with that sometimes because I have to remember so much, and I'm not Datto. I don't have a brain like him. You know?
Well, it's also not the only part of your job. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that is.
And I don't want to
first
make
of all,
excuses, though.
Yeah, we are not
Yeah.
being defensive.
Yeah.
I would agree. We need to be better and more clear anytime we get into new details that have been announced. That's why, by the way, I read off of the phone as much as I can because we have a sheet that paraphrases stuff.
I had 8 pages for the last episode.
yeah.
because there was
My
so much to go over.
Because
so I
there's a lot.
apologize. Yeah. So some of that is that this is a conversational show, so we're discussing with friends. Like you said, a train in the middle of the map, and I thought of the PlayStation exclusive map which is in a train yard, which takes place.
Well, isn't it in the wall technically?
I don't know.
618?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yes.
Possibly.
But that's
But,
a
like,
great
yeah.
example where
I don't have it in my
that?
notes. I don't have my phone.
where someone's reaction is you've not memorized every map name, every detail, and therefore, how could you possibly host this show? And like, I think that's where we're like, wait, we're here to react, to be fans of the game, and yes, bring you details that are accurate. That's super important. So when we are wrong, call us out. Like Destin, you're right.
TLDR, please keep calling me out when I make mistakes. Yes, it does stack. Thank you, Datto. Datto did the
You
test,
should have watched
apparently.
Datto's video.
Yeah, I didn't watch Datto's video yet. And just try and give me a little bit of a break. I'm doing my best here, you guys.
But that was my bad. I definitely thought we could do a better job. But at the same time, remember the show is about this, and it's us sitting around and give us a chance to relax a little instead of like preparing a script for everything, which is a different experience.
Which we will anyway.
Very different.
Well, and it's nice to have you on the show, Dana. So, I mean, maybe even talk to somebody real quick, because when we get the info, we kind of usually read it on Thursday and then are in here first thing in the morning on Friday. And a lot of times tweets and miscommunications get answered later on by people, Bungie devs, on their personal Twitter channels.
Yeah.
So even for you, like, what's your day real quick like going out and making a script and, collecting all the data?
Have you ever cut a video and then been like, damn it?
Like plenty of times.
Yeah.
I've this was back when I had to be more quick with my videos and the news because my channel wasn't so much about like opinions as it was just hard facts and news. So a lot of the times in the past, I was just trying to rush out whatever I could based on the weekly update or whatever info came out. And then later on, things would get clarified, and it's like, oh, well, I got to go back in the video. You can't even do annotations anymore, so you got to go in the comments. You got to pin this over here. But now, since I don't feel that pressure anymore, I can let it sit the entire day. I can let Reddit develop. I can let Twitter feeds happen and clarifications can happen. Sometimes I ask personally.
Because you're established.
Yeah. So I can even ask employees directly. It was like, hey, on the record, can you confirm blah, 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 or can you clarify this? Just so I have the answers to make their lives easier, because if I can at least spread the information correctly, they don't get bothered on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I take a little bit more time now. You know, I don't have to worry about rushing to put it out the same day or within like 3 hours. I can wait until the next day, or I can wait until much later at night when I have all the information and everything's settled.
It's almost like millions of people answering the question is better than one person trying to do everything.
Yeah.
And that's why it's great to have that time to like let Reddit sift through all the data,
right.
and then you can present that in an informational way.
Yeah.
And clear way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
I
a
mean,
time thing, though.
Yeah, I mean, and Bungie devs have been replying a lot more on Reddit recently, which
Yes.
is
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, by the way.
Do that more.
So I will like, you know, something comes out and I'm like, all right, let's see if Bungie said anything to clarify, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they did. Put that in the video.
Yeah. But I would want to make the point, too, and again, not defensively, this is a more
Friends being
chill
friends.
show, but like the more time we can spend, of course, the more we can do. You may not realize that we don't spend all week on this show. Again, we read the update, we come here to react, to get opinions and present them accurately. But I would love to spend all week on it. So share the show, tell your friends,
Like,
subscribe,
And actually,
set your notification bell.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter. all the above.
Discord.
But seriously,
I've been
we need
seeing
that
this,
support.
Fran, and one of the reasons I've been pushing to do the stream on Tuesdays on youtube.com/fireteamchat, and I also stream to
Your stream,
twitch.tv/the Destiny channel.
Yeah.
Fran streams sometimes at the same time.
Yep.
And I've
CJ did it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The reason is because we can talk to you directly and have conversations about
Yeah.
the state of Destiny, and it's been great. I love seeing people come back regularly
Yeah.
and be part of the conversation.
I mean, there's a lot of positive, and that's what we say. Like, there's a lot of positive feedback in the comment section. I don't read all the positive ones. Sometimes we do, but there's a lot of people saying that they tune in week to week just to have the conversation, hear us talk about it. So, yeah, sometimes in the moment, and sometimes you say things, and then you think about it in the next episode, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have said
this,
that way. And you're like,
But yes,
Yeah.
there's being factually inaccurate, which we should not be, but then there's disagreeing with each other. And it's okay. If you don't agree with me or Datto or Destin, that's fine, but you don't have to call us jerks or a-holes or whatever, like float your boat that day. And that happens. I think that's the worst part of the comments. But the people who say like, hey, you're totally wrong about random rolls, Fran, and CJ's right.
Yeah.
Cool. But then just don't be mean about it.
Explain it and then don't be a jerk about it.
I
Exactly.
appreciated the way I was called out about the stacking thing. They're like, hey, you probably missed Daddle's video, but
It was
actually
me.
it does stack. And Fran needs to talk to you in his office afterward.
I wasn't there that
Destin,
day.
so it stacks. We need to have a talk about your performance on the show
exactly.
lately.
It's on his official Q1 review for his job.
Q1 review.
Screaming at the screen.
Q1
"It's
review.
stacked."
It's stacked. Don't do this anymore. Yeah.
God.
But I really, really appreciate the amount of interactivity we've been seeing, and we've actually seen a lot of viewers lately.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, unfortunately, and I hate drawing attention to this, it seems like with negativity comes views. And like, we don't buy into that. Like, unfortunately, we do, fortunately, we're able to do Fireteam chat because we enjoy the franchise. Maybe not the state of Destiny 2, but we have jobs at IGN. So this is why we say, like, for influencers and for YouTubers, that's a very different deal if Destiny is your main thing, right? And I think you touched on that just briefly before.
It's weird. I'm actually excited about the state of Destiny 2 because it's going to be really awesome to cover the journey of the state that it's in right now, and you might feel the same way, Datto, the state that it's in right now, and the journey that they're going to take as developers to either correct this or maybe they do crash and burn. I doubt that. They have like this huge legacy. I don't think that's going to happen. But like if that happens, just being there to tell the story and talk to you guys about it is awesome. Yeah.
I like to think that with Datto come views. So I think this episode is great.
200 more views.
Share it. Set your notifications. But yeah, I don't know if we're rounding out, but I also wanted to make sure he had time to shout out all he's doing and all that fun stuff.
Go for it, Datto. I asked you before the show,
Yeah,
but
no, I don't have anything. Just youtube.com/Datto Does Destiny, and I don't know. Most people probably you know me. You don't. You know me, and if you do, you like me or hate me. But
We like him.
Yeah.
Follow
Yes.
him and set your notification
it.
bell. The bell is so important, and do this man a favor,
Yeah.
and you'll know when his video goes up, and you'll be first in the comments.
too humble, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
hey, thanks
Great having you here.
thanks for bringing me on, dudes.
all right. I think that's a good point to wrap it up. Datto, thank you so much for everything. And until next time, everybody, Guardians out.
But you
How many more cues can I give?
You gave it.
Cut to the
and everyone
line.
pause. I was like, okay, prime it, go.
Fran's been on the show for 3 years.
I'm ready for a cue from the floor manager.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be like, and in 3, 2, until next time, Guardian. Like that's what I'm thinking.
My favorite part of the last episode was like, and Fran, how's that Discord? He like turned on like a robot and did his Discord plug.
Oh, we forgot.
Yeah, we'll
That's
do it
okay.
now. This is
Do it
gonna
now.
be in the outro.
Give it out. Do the Discord shout out.
I'm not. Be sure to follow us at IGN's Discord. We're gonna leave the comment as the top comment. Be sure to get in there because tons of Guardians are playing. Maybe Datto will come in there and
Hey everybody, check out our Discord. There's a link in the description. Top pin comment.
there it is. Join the
Boom.
Discord. See you there.